What's up guys, Sean here. I am here with a race report for the inaugural IRONMAN Canada-Ottawa. This race happened on Sunday, August 3rd in downtown Ottawa. It was a very unique race and a beautiful course, and it was the very first edition of this race here in Canada. As you know, we used to have Ironman Mont Tremblant, and then that got removed from the race calendar a few years ago, about 2 years ago. And then we had Ironman Canada Penticton in BC for a very long time, but then that got cancelled last year. And so there was no full distance Ironman events anywhere in Canada. And that's very worrisome for the sport. But we were all very pleased to find out that the organizers were doing something behind the scene, and now we have this beautiful race only about four and a half hours away from Toronto, and so it's in Ottawa now. So hopefully a lot of more local people to the GTA area are able to attend this race now. And I know lots of people loved Mont Tremblant, and I did that as well. The vibes there are uncomparable to anything else because of that little town. The vibe of that resort town is really great. The ski vibes are there, and you have all the gondolas and stuff. But it was hard for a lot of people in the GTA to make it out to BC, so this is a really good compromise or consolation prize since there's no more Mont Tremblant race. So I headed there to this Ottawa race on Friday. Usually I'd like to go a few days earlier, but because this was only about a 4-hour drive, and at about halfway I stopped for gas and some food. But other than that, it was pretty good to go to Ottawa, and we stayed at the Fairmount Chateau Laurier, which is right in front of the finish line, right beside the finish line in Major Hill Park. So my dad has poor knees, and he wanted to see the finish line. So this was the closest hotel accommodation to the finish line and transition to as possible. And it was pricey, yes, but it was worth it because at the end of the race, I could just grab the bike, 2-minute walk to the hotel, nice and easy. There's other hotels around too, plenty of hotels down in the Ottawa area, but this was the closest one. If you want the closest one, Chateau Laurier is the one for you. So people were able to do the practice swim on Friday only if they were checked in. So you'd have to go on Thursday. You had to have your wristband, and there was a chip timer that went along with the practice swim if you wanted to do that. The official practice swim, I'm pretty sure other people found ways to practice without that. But if you wanted to do the official practice swim, you had to check in on Thursday and then swim Friday morning. So just know that if you want to be part of the actual official practice swim. As for the event itself, it was really well organized, I have to say. Being the first time event, I was kind of concerned, and there's like kinks to work out with every major race, but overall I thought this was a pretty well laid out plan and course and circuit, and the volunteers were absolutely amazing. I think I heard that there was 2,500 athletes and about 1,600 volunteers, so there was a great ratio of athlete to volunteers there. There was actually a plethora of restaurants and food options to carb load on. Lots of great Italian restaurants in the Byward Market, pizza places, all the carbs you could ever need right there. So it's very unique because a lot of these big races are in resort towns or cities, not in the actual major cities themselves. Like, for example, Ironman Florida is not in Orlando or Miami, it's in Panama City Beach. Ironman Texas is not in Dallas or Houston, it's in the Woodlands. And so that's just a few examples of that. So it was really cool that literally we were in the downtown core of Ottawa for this. This is a 2 transition race, which I'm kind of iffy on about. I'm sure maybe in the future if they could get a 1 transition race, that would be cool, but I see the logistics there. So T1 is in Britannia Beach, which is about a 20-minute drive from Confederation Park. And Confederation Park is where the Ironman Village is, the check-in is, and all that good stuff, where the awards ceremony is and all that fun stuff. So we had to bring our bikes via shuttle, and you had to park, or you had to park at the Cineplex nearby and walk your bike or ride your bike to T1 in Britannia Beach on Saturday. And then, but that was pretty well organized, so it was good for that. And you got to meet a lot of friends along the way, meet new people, and you get to scope out the swim start. So that was good for that. So on to the actual race itself. Race day, I woke up at 3 a.m. and I walked with my Tomlinson Performance and Wellness TPW teammates, Alfred and Corwin. And I met a lot of other friends. I had a lot of local friends there too from all various tri clubs. It was great seeing everyone there. If you want to go to a race where your tracker has like 20 people on it, go to a local race. It's always fun. And so the swim was interesting because it was initially supposed to be a 2-loop course around inside Britannia Beach. But then a few months before that, they revised that and made it a 1-loop course. So 3.8 kilometers in the Ottawa River. And there was already speculations that it was going to be a slower swim. So I had that mentally prepared for, because we are against a current for the first, I would say more than half of it, because the first half is against a current, but the way it's laid out in the course, you're actually doing much more than half of it against the current. And when you come back, you do get a little bit of it back, but it's not equal to how much time you have against the current. And on race day, there was a bit of a chop. And some people didn't like that. And it was also really weird because the night before on Saturday, we got an alert from Ironman about the air quality, that they were continuing to monitor it from the wildfires in Ontario, maybe some from BC as well. I think on my weather app, it said like there was a 4 or 3 or maybe a 4 moderate health warning, or just be aware of it. And so in the swim, when I was sighting, I did notice the sun just coming up. And it was just literally an orange circle in the sky covered in haze. No rays, nothing. It was kind of eerie. So some people liked it because it was kind of like an overcast effect, but it was haze, and you knew this was going to affect your lungs as the day went on. So yeah, the swim was okay. I personally felt calm. I did my usual sustainable effort. And I thought I did everything I could according to plan, but I did come out of that swim about 6 to 8 minutes slower. And halfway through, about 1,800 meters in, it was kind of weird because I saw people start like standing up in the middle of the river. And apparently the organizers didn't know that there was like a rocky sandbank right smack there. So I saw people walking around. I stood up a little bit, so I might have lost a little time there too, but that was pretty unique. Magical island right in the middle of the swim. And then so after the swim was the bike, and they called this rolling, and it was cool because it was 3 loops of 60 kilometers, so you could compartmentalize this in your head. And the first loop was really strong for me. It was good. I felt great coming out of the swim onto the bike, and I hit my watts pretty good.
Go, Sean! Let's go!
But as the day went on, the temperature increased quite a bit to about 31 degrees, and the sun was shining, no clouds, haze from the pollution, and it was just really hot. And by the second lap and the third lap, the gusts went up to about 30 kilometers per hour. And so this was the first time that I had to stop a handful of times at the aid stations to actually physically remove my helmet, douse it in water, and pour cold water on my head because I was just overheating. So maybe that's just the type of helmet I was using too. So maybe I would have done better with like a road helmet, or at least a aero helmet with like more ventilation and airflow in it. So that I will be looking into in the future. Yeah, so the bike, it wasn't my best time, but however, if you took into account the time it took for me without any stopping, that would have been my fastest 180 kilometers to date, about 6 hours and 1 minute and 19 seconds, so close to that sub 6. But with the stops at the aid station, I was done in about 6:20. So lots of time lost there, and I'll have to work on that in the future. Always things to work on in Ironman. That's the beauty of 3 sports, right? And then coming off the bike, in the bike, it was really cool because usually a lot of these races are just out and backs on like a toll road, highway, nothing to see really. But this was cool because in 3 loops, it was actually legit on the right in front of Parliament Hill. They use Sussex Drive. You pass by all the beautiful architecture and downtown buildings 3 times. There's a little bit of a highway area when you go into the Gatineau, Montreal area, but it was pretty cool. And there was 2 significant no passing zones, which kind of neutralized the race here and there. I don't know how that affected people, but there was some really bumpy and narrow roads in the downtown core area. So hopefully in the future they're able to pave off those roads and make it nice and clean, and make it smooth. It would be well worth it for the event, and I'm sure a lot of the athletes would enjoy that as well. And then on to the run. So this was weird. I still cannot... I've done a great open marathon in like 3 hours, 31 minutes, 34 minutes. And I've done great half Ironmans, 70.3s, the runs, holding like a 5:04 per kilometer pace. But I have yet, out of 5 Ironmans, I have yet to crack the Ironman run. My closest was in Ironman Florida, where I ran in like 4 hours, 26 minutes. I'm sure I really want to be able to do sub 4 on Ironman run, or at least as close to 4 as possible. I can remove half an hour from that. But this one was not good. Right off the bike, my gut felt horrendous, and I felt dizzy in my head-wise, and it was just really hot on that day. I did switch up my Omnius headband from into the cap version, so I was able to just buy the empty hat and take out the pieces from my head, the cooling pieces from my headband, and put it into the cap. And then this way, this actually helped me a lot because I put ice cubes from aid stations into the cap and just put it on my head and let it melt. That saved me. I don't know how I would have done without that, so that was pretty cool. I'm keeping the cap for that. And so yeah, I've never been so bloated and starting off on the run, so there was a lot of just walking and really slow jogging for the first 10 kilometers. I completely abandoned my nutrition plan for that and just only took salt tablets, and when I felt like it, cold Coke at aid stations, and that helped. So around the 15 kilometer and halfway mark, I started getting my groove back, and just a long sustainable pace, still walking the aid stations as well. But I would really like to be able, and that was holding like high 6-minute 50 per kilometer pace. It's still not even like a 6-minute 30, which is more of what I've trained to do with Nikki, who helped a lot on the long runs that I did. We were able to, I still need to be able to crack the Ironman run. So I'm working with my coach Miranda and talking to friends like my good friend Steve about nutrition and not cheaping out on just sugar and salt, and actually using some good high quality octane products, maybe Morton drink mix, stuff like that, precision electrolytes. So we'll see in the future. There's always another race in the future to work on. But yeah, I would also not consider this a flat run course either. Yes, there is a good amount of levelness and neutralized areas, and there's some nice downhill parts, but there is significant uphill parts too, especially in the last 2 kilometers after you've dug so deep in the heat, 30 plus degrees Celsius weather, and going through that twice on the loop. And then in the last 2 kilometers, we're actually, we have to run up the hill, up the canal, and then around the Chateau Laurier, around Parliament Hill, and then so that's all up to the finish line. And then so that if you weren't tired already, that really took everything out of you. But yeah, the finish line was right in front of the National Art Gallery, I think, so that was really cool. And that, which is at Major Hill Park, which is right beside the Chateau Laurier where I'm staying. So I knew once I could see all these fancy buildings that I was close to the end. And I was happy because this is the first time out of all the races the long distance races that I've done where I was able to finish in the daylight.
Sean, you are an Ironman. Sean, good job. Pierre, look hard at you are an Ironman.
So this was 5 times, the 5th time I've done an Ironman, completed an Ironman, and I'm so happy so did 5 Ironmans in 4 years since I started with Coach Miranda Tomlinson in 2000. I started with her in 2021, and the first one I did with her was Mont Tremblant 2022. Then Ironman Florida 2023, and then last year in 2024 I did 2 Ironman Texas and Ironman California, and then this one here in Ottawa in 2025. So that was 5 Ironmans in 4 years with her. Everything's good, and we'll see how everything goes in the future. Always thinking of next season. But overall, I would say this was a great first inaugural race, and it was a good race overall in general too. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's ever billed as a fast race per se, just because the swim will be slower, unless they decide to make it a downriver swim one day. And then the bike, because it's 3 loops with a handful of U-turns. There was some great road, but there was also some terrible roads, and the 2 neutralized, no passing zones. I don't think it would make for a very fast race per se. And then the run is just brutally hot, first week of August, end of July that time, so there's only so much you can do about that. I do know people that had great races, and yeah, so it can be done. Well, I just have to work on heat, but maybe some people aren't good with heat either, so gotta find a race that suits your strengths, I guess. I would love to thank all the volunteers, all the police officers, all the spectators, the race organizers for putting on a phenomenal inaugural event. I would also like to thank Smudge over here and Nikki, who is actually my training partner on a lot of the long runs, weekend long runs, going with me for this Ironman build. And thank you to my wife Jenna for putting up with me. And this is the, I think, 3rd Ironman that we've been through together, or maybe 4th. But yeah, 1 before we were married, 2 while we were engaged, and 1 while we were engaged, and 2 after we got married. So thank you to Jenna. But overall, I really enjoyed this race. Lots of friends participating, lots of friends and family spectating, just great vibes. Because there were so many loops, it's really spectator and family friendly, and I never felt like alone on the course at any time. It was really great to be part of this inaugural event, and I can't wait for the next Ironman event, and I can't wait to share with you what I'm doing next. Peace.